Hey everyone, so this video will be about how to remove items quickly and efficiently in Photoshop. To do this, go ahead and start with the patch tool, and you'll find that here underneath the spot healing brush area. If you go down, it looks like a giant patch. And you want to pay attention to your settings up here on the top. You have your traditional normal patch, we have our source and destination. If you want to do transparency, like for example if you're copying ice cubes, that's a great approach, like a drink. But what I'm going to focus on is two things. I'm going to show you how to move and how to create this as your source. So with the patch tool, I'm going to draw around the boat very loosely. Now I can actually do this by utilizing any of the lasso tools. I don't actually have to use the patch tool in order to create the dancing ants. Once you have the dancing ants or the marquee selected, then go back to your patch tool and it will still work. So right now we're working on source. So making sure you're on the layer in which we need to be. So I'm on my boat layer, and with this here I'm going to drag over here and indicate where I want my source to be. Now if you've watched the healing brush video, you'll see the idea is that just like the patch, the healing brush both take the information that you previously had with the information from the background and blend the two. And this is why it makes it so successful. So if you find tones or values similar to what you're currently covering with, it'll be stronger than if you don't. So kind of look for tones and stuff, and you can see the different variation gives you pictures of what you're seeing. So I'm just going to go over here a bit, and when I click, it's going to blend the two in. So that here is the source. So if I just go ahead and deselect, you can kind of see. Now this is not perfect, it's kind of rough. You have different options in which you can do this. So if I go ahead and hit an undo, which is Control or Command Z, now that we are back to our original image, go ahead and do that same thing again by loosely going around the boat. But this time when you, I'm actually going to get a little bit more of that shadow. Before we slide it over, go ahead and increase the diffusion. This is going to increase the blending on how the two images combined. If you want to have a more sharper approach, then go ahead and lower the diffusion, and then you'll see more of a sharper approach. But what we want to do is blend it more so they line up a little bit more. So now we're going to go ahead and let go. And as you can see here, you get a cleaner transition between the spot. If you see little spots that you don't like, maybe the shadow came through a little bit, you're not so happy with that, you can repeat this step by going over to an area in which you're happy with. And let's see. And letting go. And they kind of reblend. And you can do this as many times as necessary to get the look or effect that you're going for. Now let's go back to that original image, and let's take a look on what that would be like if we made this as a destination. So rather than a source, we're going to loosely go around this boat here, and I'm going to put it right here. And now we have two boats, or 3 or 4. And as you can see, it kind of blends in the form around it pretty flawlessly. Gotta love this program. Alright, so now we're back to our original image, and this time rather than selecting the patch, I want you to go down to where it says Content Aware Move Tool. And what you're going to do is you're essentially just going to loosely again draw around the boat. And this time we're going to set the mode to move, and I'm going to have my structure at 3 and my color set of 4, and that's just like a medium section here. And I just want to slightly move it a little bit. It doesn't even have to be a lot. It could be just enough where I see part of my boat peeking out. And when I let go, I can even choose to scale it a little bit if I want to, pulling in these bounding blocks. I always recommend holding down Shift to keep the proportion alive. But now that we've selected and set our form, I'm going to say, okay, I like this. The computer will generate what information needs to be replaced in order to have a somewhat smooth transition. This is never flawless. There's going to be situations where you have to tweak or change a little bit, and you can go in and clean that up. But you can see how quickly it just moved the information and figured out roughly what you needed to get to make your image clean. Now that I've shown you different ways in which you can utilize these tools to kind of replace something, I'm going to show you. Alright, so now that I've shown you how to utilize the patch tool and the content aware tool for the boat, I wanted to show you something with a little bit more detail of a pattern rather than something like ocean or grass or something. But this is actually like brick wall. You have to pay attention to the situation and the background as well as the actual bench itself if we're trying to remove the pot of flowers there. So I wanted to just show you, if I zoom in a little bit here, you can break this up and do this in many easy steps, but I just find I'm just going to do kind of a really quick variation of this by grabbing my patch tool and having it on source. I'm going to just very loosely go around my pot, getting kind of close to the bottom here and not going down below. I'm just going to keep it there here. And then I'm going to make sure I'm on that layer, and then I'm just going to drag across here. Getting as close to the form as possible. Alright, so once I have the general form filled out, now I need to focus on this back portion. And so I'm just going to drag around this little bench pole here. And rather than have it on source, I'm going to choose destination, and I'm going to drag it and bring it over here. And again, this is not going to be exact. I'm not trying to show you right now. I'm just trying to show you the general principle on how you can kind of set up the form. When you've completed this portion of your exercise, go to File, Save. Make sure you use the naming system we've discussed in our previous exercises. So it's lowercase e for last name, first name, capitalizing your first and last initial. And then for this one, I just do an underscore with the number that it is corresponded with your exercise. And this is number 3 for content change. Rather than Photoshop, although I do recommend you save this version for yourself, for me, just go ahead and save a JPEG. And this is what you'll be loading on Beachboard as well as to put in your final print. Go ahead and hit save, and that portion is complete.